Over the last 5 away games, Mansfield Town and their supporters have travelled 1,024 miles, so on Saturday they'll all be looking forward to some home comforts. They take on third place Northampton Town, looking to set a brand new club record for 11 consecutive home wins within the Football League. The Stags are just behind Northampton, but it could have been even closer after Nigel Clough's men threw away a 2-goal lead on Tuesday night away at Hartlepool United, bringing home just a point when their performance definitely deserved all 3. Tonight we'll reflect on that point at Hartlepool and of course look ahead to Saturday's crunch game at home to fellow promotion chasers Northampton Town, and also dare to ask a very big question. Is this the critical week for Mansfield Town's promotion ambitions when you take into consideration that home game with Northampton, the trip to league leaders Forest Green Rovers on Tuesday night, and then of course a visit to the league's bottom side Scunthorpe United next Saturday afternoon? Let us know your thoughts in the comments on that, and of course your reflections on the Hartlepool game. And of course, if there's anything else Mansfield Town related you want to say, this is the place to say it. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Good evening and welcome to the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you've had a good week and aren't too downcast after that point in midweek. A big week for Mansfield Town coming up. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters as we come to a critical point in the season. Let's meet the 3 amigos talking about Mansfield Town alongside me tonight. We have got the man, the myth, the legend, the croak. It is Mr. Alan Wilson. Good evening.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
Nice to hear the voices halfway back.
Yeah, halfway.
We'll see if it gets all the way there for Saturday. Also joining us, as always, a kick in the cobblers, aka Mr. Clive Parkin, second night in a row where I've shared your company. Hi, Clive. How are you again?
Hiya, Craig. Nice to be here again. Hello, everybody.
And of course, the man who says never leave early and always change your name on Restream when you log in, Mr. Nathan Edge. How are you, mate?
I'm still not over. I'm good.
Fantastic. Good to see Nathan again. And good to know that he's still on the world's worst Wi-Fi. As always, come and have your say on your team and have your say in the comments about all things Tuesday night, about all things games coming up and everything else in between. Well, let's start with a kick in the cobblers. Of course, take on Northampton on Saturday. We'll come to that later. It was a kick in the cobblers on Tuesday night, Clive, but only by Mansfield Town themselves.
Yeah, but I'm taking all the blame because we were 2-0 up and comfortable, and I thought this is the time to go and get a coffee. And in the time it took to get the coffee, we were 2-2. So I'll take the blame.
Nathan's reaction says it all. You know, Nathan cursed it because he left early and missed a highlight. And like Nathan's name says, like your name says, Nathan, never leave early, regardless of whether it's going to get a coffee. If you need a wee, you hold that in till half time. You never miss the action.
Yeah, I mean, at least when I left early, it was for the better of the team. You know, what Clive did was just irresponsible. You know, hang your head in shame, young man. But
he holds his hands up.
It was to capitulate so quickly was very disappointing. But apart from that suicidal 5 minutes, I thought we were pretty good and pretty worthy of 3 points. So it's just a shame that we let ourselves down, really, isn't it? Like you said, it was only we only really have ourselves to blame because Hartlepool didn't offer a lot else apart from that.
That's the most frustrating thing, Alan. I was speaking to Nigel Clough, post-match after the game, and, he was absolutely delighted with the performance. We played some really, really good stuff for the large majority of the game, but 2 errors, once again. The first switching off after they had a man go down and restart to play, and we just didn't respond to it. And then we just sat back, and then Ollie Hawkins made a bit of an error at the back, gave away the ball, and they went and scored for it. If anybody, I may be taking a little bit of stick for this comment, but I'm going to stick by it. If any team in Sky Bet League 2 is going to prevent Mansfield Town from getting success this season, then that team will be Mansfield Town.
I just think it was, like two stupid bits of crazy mayhem, call it what you like. I mean, on Saturday, we're all cock-a-hoot because we're expecting a 1-1 draw. And, 95, 96 minutes in, we get the winner. Thank you very much. And I suppose it could have been the same on Tuesday night, but it just didn't happen in front of goal like we hoped it to. But my point from Tuesday night, from what I saw, I would love to have seen Danny Johnson get in that position where he's used to, Fox in the box, because the amount of balls that Lapsley, or Lipsill as they called him, Lapsley come in, there were quite a few times, and it was just amazing that there was just nobody there. It was shattering straight across, and it was so annoying when you think, that's what he does, and that's what he does best.
Yellow card offence for Mr. Wilson there, who's basically admitted that he listened to the Hartlepool commentary on Tuesday night and didn't put iFollow on mute and put the radio on. We'll forgive you as soon as you're ill. Clive, it's another one, isn't it, where it's Mansfield's own frustrations and Mansfield's own undoing, and they've really got to stamp that out. If the performance is there like it was and we play that well, we will turn teams over and we will get some good results in these final 9. But you just sense that for all Mansfield's glory, for all Mansfield's hunger at one end, you just know that they're capable of it swinging with the click of a finger.
I think we just have to budget for a cock-up every game because we've proved that we've got one in us. There were actually 2 on Tuesday night. But in fact, there could have been a nasty third at the end because they did everything but score at the end. But, it happens, and we were 2-2 at half time. We got another 45 minutes plus extras to get back, to get a return on our dominance because we were far the best team. And we had some tired legs, it's fair to say. And I think Clough probably could have brought some subs on earlier, I thought. But I'm not averse to Alan's suggestion. We've got a man who can run and can score, and we're just not making use of him. And if you can't make use of him under those circumstances, when will you?
It's an interesting one, Nath, because Nigel Clough was sort of saying after the game, we were in a bit of a quandary tonight whether to start Jamie Murphy or not. Obviously, then he went off injured and replaced Jason Law. Law would have started if Murphy didn't start, by the way. But he was also and ahhing about starting Danny Johnson, and it's just so frustrating because it's all these ifs, buts and maybes because we desperately want him to see him get the game time. But as it goes on and on and on, that towards the end of the season, the game time's not necessarily going to be there. And we know that he can be influential. He got 20 plus goals last year and does feel at the minute a little bit frustrating that we're wasting these opportunities in these talents when there are players clearly heavy on legs, struggling in the game and just not performing at the levels that they could be.
Yeah, I mean, when the starting 11 came out, my eyebrows were risen to the roof because there was some surprising changes there, but they mainly were enforced, so you can understand why those changes were made. And to be honest, I think performance-wise, we were better Tuesday night against Hartlepool than we were against Oldham, and we come away with a point. It's a bit reversal, really, of what could have been. But it was that second half, like Alan pointed out there. I think Danny, the sort of player he was, I think it was kind of made for him because we were creating it. That wasn't an issue. So creating chances was there, getting the ball into the box. You kind of did need that Danny Johnson type of player to get in there and get on the end of it. Obviously, we brought Oates on towards the end, who had 2 glorious chances. One in particular, the first one. 9 times out of 10, he sticks on the back of the net. But typical against his old club, it was he probably wanted it too much. So you'd back him to score that, and would be 3-2 up, and we'd all be happy. But no, I think Oates was right coming on, but you probably would have thought Danny Johnson in that box with what we were creating would have been a good option for us. He doesn't seem to get much of a look in at the moment.
Let's delve into some comments. And as always, if you're watching the live stream of this, come and have your say on your team. If you listen to the audio version of this, follow us on social media and then you'll find out when we are going to be next live. Sunday sermon, of course, will be the next time that we're on. Roger says, I reckon Stags need 20 points to secure the top 3 positions. It was shocking to hear Craig's voice announcing those goals by Hartlepool. 2-0, a dangerous lead, and that's why they switched off. A bit of complacency. Do you think there was perhaps a little bit of complacency in us from where you were sat, Clive?
No, I wouldn't have put it down as complacency. It was just error. You know, I mean, I don't think it was because they weren't wanting to do it. I just think let's be fair. Hawkins is responsible for one of the goals in my book. Yeah. And he's getting a fair amount of stick at the moment on social media. It always happens, and you can understand that. And yet the lad's been doing a sterling job in his second job all season. He wasn't recruited to play centre back, and I don't think he owes us anything in that position. But what he did demonstrate against a very savvy forward line was that he couldn't not sell a foul. You know, when he was behind a player, unlike the more, if you like, seasoned centre-back pairing, he was always selling them the foul. They were selling him the foul. He would have hands on shoulders, whereas O'Toole, his hands would be behind his back in those positions. And the referee, it was a bit quick on the whistle, and he was giving everything. And I thought he was getting a little bit frustrated during the game, but it wasn't his best game. There's no question about that. But I wouldn't want to condemn him on that because he's had a good season so far.
Again, I think that that's another thing about team selection as well. I think Hawkins actually might have been rested on Tuesday had Faz not ended up with food poisoning. So it's
most inconsiderate, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It really is. But
you know, Faz is my favourite player, but I'm going to have a word with him.
Yeah, I would as well. Just tell him it's not good enough. A little bit like League and early. Yeah, well, you know, that's for you to say, isn't it? That's for you to tell him. Keep your comments coming in. Lee says, fully agree. We are our own worst enemy, but that's the Mansfield way, and probably always will be. It's what attracts us to the club. Like we always said, like Keith Curl used to say, there's an easy way, a hard way, and a Mansfield Town way, and it always seems to be the Mansfield Town way. But it's still very much in our own hands, of course. Richard says, agree with Alan. Not really sure why Danny Johnson doesn't get any game time. Roger says, we don't have a God-given right to win games, although some of our fans think we have. Danny Johnson must be a frustrated lad waiting for his chance. Mick says, happy with the draw, not forgetting we should have lost the game had Hartlepool put the late chance away. 7 points out of the last 9 ain't bad at all. Yeah, let's focus on that, Nath, from what your dad said there. Nigel Clough was happy with it, 7 from 9 on reflection. And do you know what I am as well? I think you have to take the rough with the smooth in football. We got a good little bit of rub of the green on Saturday at Oldham when we should have probably had a point. And then we go on and score the winner in the 90 whatever minute. Then we get away with one at Hartlepool in the 90 odd minute when it looks nailed on that they might turn the game around and nick it. So 7 points from 9. It's decent. It keeps us in contention with the playoffs. We're level on points. We're only outside the playoffs by virtue of 1 goal. And should we win on Saturday against Northampton, we'll be level on points with them, which, depending on goals scored and results elsewhere, could actually lift us into 3rd with games in hand still, then Forest Green to play twice still, and the league's bottom side next week. It could go any which way, and getting a point away from home on a Tuesday night, a long way at Hartlepool after such a run of away games, actually isn't that bad a result at all, is it?
No, it really wasn't that bad. You know, I think we can be quite happy with the last, the last 3 games. And like I said, it's a bit like a balancing act. The Oldham game, we snatched it at the last minute, and we, in my opinion, didn't play as well as what we did at Hartlepool. I think the most disappointing fact with Hartlepool was the fact that we went 2-0 up, and we did seem like we were comfortable, and then it was the fact that we gave it away so easily. So that's the only disappointing factor of it. But we had plenty of opportunities that second half. We didn't play bad, for me at all. So the performances are getting better, which is what needed to happen. So I was a bit worried about that with some of the performances. So that side of things going up. So you'd like to think, that if a performance can keep rising towards the end of the season when we've got some of these big games, coming ahead like Northampton and Forest Green twice, etc. We're going to be in for an interesting end to the season, and we've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to indeed. Let's delve a little bit more into that performance on Tuesday night then, Alan. A lot of eyebrows were raised with the team selection. 4 changes, which of course included the dropping of Stephen McLaughlin, who it was later revealed after the game has been carrying a knock for some weeks, which explains a fair bit, to be fair. Rhys Oates was also rested and put on the bench. Lucas Akins went back in up top. And to be fair, a few fans were criticising Akins because he'd been playing out of position. He had a torrid time at fullback when he was filling in there. But when he played up front, I think you were alongside me actually at Newport when he played up top, looked a handful. And yet again, on Tuesday night, away at Hartlepool, he looked a real handful, very, very heavily involved with everything. And it actually makes me drool thinking about the prospect of Rhys Oates and other players playing off him, because he's got such power, such pace, and he's a really good articulate player. And if we can get him in that position, he'll be critical to unlocking teams.
Excuse me. After the first 10 minutes, he made probably 2, possibly 3 errors where he was passing the ball back and it was going way past either Hewitt or whoever he was trying to pass to. But after that, I thought he rose into the game quite well. And I thought he led the line well. He was strong enough. He certainly took the challenges, even though we didn't get any fouls off him because, he were getting shoved down quite a few times, and it weren't doing that business side. He was trying his hardest, but it was the referee that was not giving him much chance. But I still think he did a reasonable job. And irrespective, what players we'd got out, he made 4 changes, and you can't knock what Nigel's done. Some of them were enforced, yes, but we were still 2-0 up. So, it's not all lost. And if we get 7 points out of the next 3 games like we just have done, we'll all be sat here a week on Sunday, on the Sunday sermon, rubbing his hands.
Yeah, we certainly will. What was your impressions of Lucas Akins on Tuesday night, Clive? Because, like Alan said, a real handful and grew into the game. And, it's almost like having another new sign. He's been out of the squad for a while, carrying a little bit of a knock. Now he's back available. It gives Nigel that extra little bit of testing and teasing, that little bit of extra option.
I think he had a good game. I say that hesitantly because what we missed from him was the end product, I guess. But he was finding lots of space. He was holding the ball up well. And that's something that not every player in our side is capable of doing. However, he's a big unit and he should never get bullied. And I think sometimes he's too nice. And I think, he needs to leave some people in a heap when he gets the chance. But no, I think you're right. I think if he gets another couple of games under his belt, he's going to be a real asset to us if we can get his final ball where we know he can put it. But I thought he played well. I thought he was worth his shirt. And if we can get other players back on the field who have been carrying knocks, performing as well as we know they can, I think we've got a real chance with him in the side.
Let's delve into some more comments. Sam says, do you know what's up with Maris? Missing him, to be fair. Sturt looks a little bit lost without him injured. Here and Ollie Clark, the 2 at the minute that are in the physio's room and getting a little bit of treatment. Obviously, Kel Gordon is the long-term injury as well. But Maris just injured at the moment and not quite ready. Could be back in contention maybe for Saturday. But it just highlights again, Alan, doesn't it, that importance of it being a squad game. It's not about picking our strongest 11 now. It's about picking our fittest 11, the 11 which is capable of playing good football and causing teams problems. If we need to change it, don't be afraid to change it.
And he's not, to be fair, and he's got the players there to change it. I thought when Jason came on, he looked a bit iffy to start with, but he rose into the game as well. And I thought in the end, the last 20, 25 minutes, he were, creating a lot of good passing availability for all the other players. And he did quite a few nice dribbles as well. So I think he didn't do himself any harm at all, Jason Law.
Greg says, despite Hawkins looking a bit iffy at centre-back, he's going to be very important Saturday against Northampton as they are a huge threat from set pieces and balls into the box. Also got to add into that as well the old former club syndrome for John Joe O'Toole. That'd be an interesting one to see how that
Watch
pans out.
Clough drop him for this game.
Well, he did. I suppose technically he did it to Oates, didn't he? But we'll see what happens.
Different reason, though. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Pedro says 2 goals we could have avoided, but a good performance overall. Dennis says next 2 matches are big. If the results don't go away, if it's not be all and end all to our season. Come on, you
That will
Stags.
not happen.
No, absolutely not. It will be a full-scale meltdown. I completely agree. Stags Chat says, need to put the game behind us and concentrate on the rest of the season. We didn't lose. A point was fair enough. Charlie says, the Stags are looking great. Yes, we should have had 1, but 7 points out of 9 with games in hand. Defo hours to lose. Greg adds, plenty of twists and turns. Yeah, Easter Monday for 1. Vale versus Bristol. Sutton versus Newport. Tranmere versus Exeter. And we're away at Carlisle. Roger says Oates will be a big player again on Saturday with his pace, a very important player to keep fit for the remaining games. And that's, again, I think a big reason why Nigel Clough perhaps didn't start him on Tuesday night. Right, let's round things off for Tuesday night then by hearing a little bit from Nigel Clough. More so actually looking ahead to Saturday's home game, the first home game in what seems like an absolute eternity. And speaking to me at pitchside at Hartlepool, I asked Nigel how important it was to get that upcoming home game, and if you could actually remember where the One Call Stadium is.
In a while. Seriously, when was the last time we were there? Exeter?
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
Which is a good...
6 games ago, 5-6 games ago?
5 games ago, it seems a long time ago. So we're looking forward to it. Hopefully the pitch has dried out that side, that side and the main stand after the Exeter game. So pitch should be in good nick. And we're looking forward to be back at home.
It's a big opportunity as well to set that club record. With all these away games, we've actually forgot that the home form has been tremendous. We equalled it with 10 consecutive league wins, a chance to make it 11 against a side that are going to be right up there at the end of the season.
Oh, definitely. A very strong side. We found that when we were poor when we played Northampton early in the season. But they are, just got relegated, so they've got some League One players as well. And it's going to be a tough old game, especially on the back of tonight. But one we look forward to. At least we go into it with 7 points out of 9.
Yeah, and it's I think on reflection, people will be disappointed tonight because we've not come away with a win, especially how we finished at Oldham. But on reflection of those games, the points tally, it's probably ahead of where you perhaps wanted it to be.
Yeah, I think when we lost the 2 at Tranmere and Port Vale, and you're facing another 3 on the road, it would have been very easy maybe to lose one of those. So to pick up 7 points has been a great return. But we can't do any more attacking than we did tonight in the game generally in the second half. I don't know. I think somebody told me we had 22 efforts at Oldham on Saturday. We must have had in excess of 20 tonight. So our intent to go and try and win the game is there. We can't do much more than that. It's just whether we get somebody good enough to finish.
How do you work on just taking it up the next level? Because as you say, the intent's there, the conviction's just slightly behind.
You can't players. That's what we always say. League 2 players are here for a reason. They're at this level for a reason. If they're that good, then maybe they'll be playing in the league above or the Championship. And that's why the strikers who you'll see, and Harry Kane, valued at 150 million or something like that, because he puts the ball in the back of the net regularly. That's it. It's the hardest thing to do in football. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this week, the next 2 games coming up, big games as well. Northampton at home on Saturday, then of course league leaders Forest Green on Tuesday. Let's first and foremost hope that we actually get 90 minutes down there.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Well, it can't get too much fog hopefully in early April, but
you never know.
Just concentrate on Northampton. All our efforts now go into that. We're not even looking at Forest Green and Scunthorpe. We just try and get the right team, right formation, and let's have a right go on Saturday.
How do you prepare for that one after tonight? Because like you said, Jamie Murphy didn't play and came off after 20 minutes or so. Is it just about rest before preparation now?
Oh, definitely. That's it. All the focus is just on the 9 games. Nothing else. There'll be very little training for those who are playing week in, week out. The travelling, certainly sitting on the coach, takes it out of the players as well. It's not ideal. So as little time as I spend travelling, the better. We'll do a light session leading up to it, and hopefully we'll be going to it in good spirits and try and break that club record.
And finally for you tonight, a bit of a personal one as well, because obviously it's a club and a stadium which has got a long association with your dad.
Yeah, of course. He started here a long time ago. I think I was only about 1 when he first came here, 1 or 2 years old or something like that. So I obviously don't remember it, but he always talked with a great deal of affection about his time here. He used to drive the team coach at times as well, and I think help out with the pitch and stuff like that. So it's that sort of those sort of things you learn in your first job.
What do you think he'd say to you going into these final 9 games?
You should have kept a clean sheet tonight. That's the first thing he would have said. But I think he would have liked the way we tried to play. But it's about sort of keeping calm and keeping your composure and things like that that we showed at times second half. Mad 5 minutes cost us. We might have got away with it. That's the other thing. Sometimes you get away with it. He might have dragged the shot wide. One might have come off Bish and missed the lad by a yard. We didn't. We got punished tonight.
Calm and composure, then the words of Nigel Clough. That's what he wants from his side going into the final 9 games of the season. We'll look more at those in a couple of minutes or so. But first, let's remind you of upcoming games on the road. Again, the Stags are away on Tuesday night as they go to league leaders Forest Green Rovers. Departure time for that one from One Call Stadium is 3 p.m. For travel booking inquiries, call the SSA travel line on 07967 689 597. And then Scunthorpe United on Saturday, a week on Saturday the 9th of April, 11:45. The coaches will be leaving One Call Stadium. It's going to be a packed away, and so if you need to get to the game, then the SSA is the place to do it. £10 for Amber members, just a tenner, and junior members as well. £15 for blue members and £20 for non-members. The all-important number you need is
07967 689 597.
And that number, if you missed it,
07967 689 597.
And whilst we're on the subject of booking things, why not get yourself into the link in the description and head across to our event page, as on Friday the 22nd of April, we're bringing back former Mansfield Town manager Stuart Watkis and his assistant Neil Richardson, striker Andy White, and further guests to be announced for a very special episode of Stags Stories Live. If you're an SSA member, you can get your ticket for absolutely free. And if you book using the code podcast, PODCAST, all in capital letters, you will receive a very special discount as well. But you've got until 3 p.m. on Saturday to use that discount code. So after this podcast, after the podcast finished tonight, get in that link in the description, go and get your ticket, enter the code podcast for a discount. It may or not be a full discount. It definitely is. Podcast is the discount code that you need to get yourself a ticket for Stags Stories Live. You've got until 3 p.m. on Saturday to bag yourself a discount using the code podcast. That code, anybody not know what the code is to get a discount on the ticket? Clive, what's the code?
Custard cream.
Oh, we should have used biscuits.
It's podcast. PODCAST, all in capital letters.
Correct. Make sure you get yourself in there. Get yourself a ticket to Stags Stories Live. And if you're a Stags fan and you know other Stags fans that maybe don't listen to the podcast, tell them about the podcast, but also tell them about Stag Stories Live. It's going to be a great night. Alan's going to be doing bingo. There's going to be entertainment on the night as well, music from the era as well. It's going to be a fantastic night, but please do come and support it. The link that you need is in the description. Right.
And of course, can I just say that, I mean, perhaps I shouldn't because I'm so honest, but anybody who's got a friend who fancies coming, if they use PODCAST in capital letters, they will also get that wonderful 100% discount.
Yes, they will. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that uses that code will, which is what's the Alan? What's the code?
PODCAST, but it's got to be capital letters.
100% right.
100% right.
100%.
Use that before Saturday 3 p.m. to bag yourself that discount and come along to Stags Stories Live. Going to be a fantastic night. Right, Nathan's had to unfortunately leave as the internet gremlins have got the better of him, so it's just the Fantastic Two, aka Clive and Alan, and just some bloke in this top corner that's rambling on about the word podcast. Let's move to the here and now then. Big 9 final games of the season coming up, Alan, but Nigel Clough rightly refused to look beyond Saturday's home game against third place Northampton Town.
And I can't fault him. Take each game as it comes. I mean, we can put all the cliches out in the world, but there's only this Saturday that's going to matter. After Saturday, it will be gone, and then there'll be 8 games to play. You know, Forest Green the following Tuesday, Scunthorpe, etc., etc. But let's concentrate on us against Northampton. Let's not worry about what Northampton can do to us. I think we've got as much in the locker as we need to give them what they gave us at their ground. Because, I mean, me and you sat together there the third time when we'd moved seats.
Yeah.
Albeit. But it was such a poor performance, and we were so downhearted after that. I think, to be fair, I think we owe them one, and the players will know that. I just think it'll be interesting how many players start on Saturday that were actually in the team, when we played them at their ground. I think that could be interesting.
That's a big shout. I'm going to have a little look, see if I can remember what that squad was, to be honest, because it'd be interesting to see how many
Because
are still
I know we were poor.
Oh, well, very, very poor. And do you know what? Nigel Clough called it our lowest ebb, didn't he, this season, Clive?
Yeah.
And we've progressed such a long way, and I think Saturday will be a big opportunity to show the players themselves how far they've progressed.
Yes, and more importantly than all that, as you know how much store I place on not getting any team getting the double over us.
You hate it.
This is one where we could get the double
Yeah.
taken over us. I don't think we will. My forecast will show that in a second or two, but it would ruin what's been a superb recovery if we don't take something from this game.
Let's have a look at that team then, which played away at Northampton. It was a 4-4-2, Bishop in goal. James Clark was at right back. Remember, this was what we've got to remember here as well. It was the right midst of our injury crisis and suspension crisis as well. Sadly, we've not really talked about this much on the podcast. We will at the end of the season. James Clark is no longer a Stags player. He, of course, signed permanently for Solihull Moors, and he's doing superbly well as well. But he was at right back that day. Hewitt and Rawson were the centre backs. McLaughlin was left back. Harry Charlesley played right mid. He's now at Port Vale. Midfield, centre of midfield was Lapsley and Ollie Clark. And then it was Jordan Bowery on the left-hand side of midfield, with Hawkins and Johnson up top. So a very different team.
So there are only two missing now, from that, isn't there? Clark and Charlesley.
So Craig's having a fit.
Carry on. And don't forget to put podcast in PODCAST and make sure it's capital letters. And you could get a very, very good percentage off. It could even be as much as 100%. Clive.
Yeah, Craig and I were invited to participate in a Northampton fans podcast. We recorded a piece for their Friday transmission yesterday. And they were very nice people we were talking to. And one thing's for sure, they have absolutely no value in our former favourite, Danny Rose.
No, and I was very annoyed at that. Very annoyed.
They've said there's as much chance of Danny Rose playing as the groundsman playing. So they don't hold him in high esteem, it's fair to say.
Obviously not.
We did offer an exchange deal, but they weren't interested.
Yeah, they wanted John Joe O'Toole back. No, you're going to have to listen. To be fair, you're going to have to listen to the Northampton podcast. It comes out tomorrow morning. Just search for It's All Cobblers to Me on all good podcast apps. They wanted John Joe O'Toole back. I said no. Going back to the reverse fixture then back at their place, we were all 6s and 7s. We're at odds in terms of players playing out of position, missing some key players as well. Just sort of looking at the subs which came on that day as well. Keaton Ward came on at half time. Ryan Burke came on, and then Rhys Oates came on as well. And there's a note here on the report which says he was feeling under weather before the game and not well enough to start. Did provide a final spark in the last 15 minutes or so, but the other subs, Shelby, Forrester, Law, and Gale, they were the ones that weren't used. And as a squad, we've come on so much more. And yes, you look at who started, the last game. Bishop started the last game. Hewitt started the last game. And Lapsley started the last game. Bowery started the last game. Hawkins did. So there's only really 5 players from that side which played at Northampton, Alan, which played the last game. And we are a very, very different side, shape-wise, personnel-wise now to what we were.
Definitely. The only one thing that worries me a little bit is obviously with his previous history with Northampton, are they going to be able to get at Mr. O'Toole and make him lose his rag? That's the only thing I'm a little bit concerned with. He should be professional enough, especially after his 3-game ban, to put it all to one side, irrespective of what they do, whether it's the studs down the back of the calf in the first 10 minutes, whatever. He needs to be on his top game and play the game as it should be played. I just don't want him going off on other tangents, because of what's happened before and them goading him. That's my only concern, I think, for Saturday.
Yeah, to be fair though, speaking to the Northampton fan Danny yesterday, Clive, they were of the opinion that there won't be much jesting towards O'Toole. He'll get a nice warm reception from the Northampton fans.
Yeah, and he's at home now. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
So whatever shout they come out with, we're going to be shouting louder for him. Yeah, he's a professional and he shouldn't let it happen. In fact, it ought to stimulate him, really. And that's my opinion of it. But going back to the comparisons, I mean, what we are now is a far more confident team. And we've every right to be confident. We've had a tremendous run.
Yeah.
Pretty much since then, actually. So, it's not the same team. It's not the same team spirit, I think, is the important thing.
No, I'd agree with that.
Go on.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, and it can only bode well, can't it? But I would like to see, if he's fit, your friend, Mr. Rawson, take his place at the side of JJ, and I would like to see Hawkins up front, where he can do a lot more damage, in my opinion.
I think if Rawson's fit, I think Hawkins might get rested.
Possibility. Yep. It won't do him any harm.
On the basis that he's trying to keep players rotated to keep average fitness levels right, it wouldn't be a stupid idea.
No,
and he didn't have his best game either, did he? So I mean, maybe he's feeling the tiredness.
And to be honest, as much as I want to see him up front, we don't need him up front because Aikens played really well, Barry played really well. You've got Oates to come back in, Johnson's itching for a game, Clough's itching to give Johnson a game as well. Yes, we'll probably be without Murphy, but to be honest, and this is not disrespectful towards him, we won't miss him too much because we've got enough to cope without him.
Having said that, he did play well for the time he was on the pitch.
He did. Clough did sort of say after though as well that he shouldn't have started him because he was a little bit struggling and he's probably going to regret that now, given how many games etc. we've got left. The other thing to that though as well is you've got McLaughlin who can come back in because he was rested on Tuesday. But Perch actually did a superb job at left back, which means you can push McLaughlin higher up and play in that more natural position of advanced winger. And that's another thing which is, for me, Clive, adding to our advantage, the fact that we can afford to stay as we were in terms of leaving Perch at left back and getting McLaughlin forward.
Absolutely right. When he's been able to do that in previous games, he's added a 10% excitement factor to the game.
Yeah, he certainly has. Right. Let's move things on to podcast predictions. Then I've got one final question for you before we have to wrap up tonight's show. Podcast predictions then. Obviously, Northampton at home on Saturday. Clive, you said it was something was going to be reflected in your prediction. So what are you going to go for?
Well, it's going to be tight. So I'm going to go for the classic 2-1 forecast in favour of a win. And it's going to be, unsurprisingly, Oates and Lapsley.
Excellent stuff. Alan, what are you going to go for?
I would agree with that, with the sentiments, but I think we'll shut up shop on Saturday. I don't think they'll get a goal, and I think it'll be 2-0. But I would probably say, I want to go Lapsley, but I'm going to stick my head out, and I'm going to say Barry as well as Oates. I know I'd probably put my foot in it, but I'm going to go Oates and Barry this time.
Do you know what I think? We're chasing down this 11 consecutive wins at home, which would be a new record. Back on home soil, it's going to be a big crowd. If we're away, I'd be going for a draw. But because we're at home, I think we are going to sneak it. I am going to go for a very, very tight, squeaky bum time 1-0 win.
A goal off the linesman's arse. That's what we want.
And former club syndrome. There's only one man I can back to score, and it's John Joe O'Toole.
Oh. Yeah,
that would be good.
Yeah, 90th minute in front of the Northampton fans. It's written there waiting for him, isn't it? Yeah. It's written there waiting for him. We'll get Cam and Nathan's predictions later on. Of course, if you want to play along as well, Paul in the comments has put score draw for me. Roger's gone 3-2. You know, guys, that it only counts if you use the link in the description, and it has to be done an hour and a minute before before kickoff. So that would be 1:59 p.m. Please, any entries after that will not count. And you may be deducted points. You won't be deducted points. It just won't count. And whilst you're in the link in the description as well, make sure you click the ticket link and enter the code podcast. Right. Let's move swiftly on before we play the highlights and round things off tonight. And that is by me playing devil's advocate. I'm completely with Nigel Clough in terms of focusing on only the next game because it's the best way forward. We can't afford to, we can't afford to be looking too far ahead, because you look too far ahead, you miss the gaping hole which is right in front of you. You look over your shoulder, you miss the lamppost you're about to walk into. Focusing on one game and one game only is the best way for the squad. But I've got to play devil's advocate because I'm not doing my job as a journalist, as a podcaster. This week, these next 3 games are huge on paper. Northampton on Saturday, 3rd place, 3 points behind them. Forest Green on Tuesday night, which will be another one of our games in hand over many of the teams. League leaders on a bit of a stutter at the moment. And then a game which everybody expects us to win against Scunthorpe the following Saturday, where it's going to be a massive, massive following away at Scunny, the league's bottom side, who are some 20 points, some 10 points adrift at the bottom of the League 2 table.
They're down.
They are down, but they'll be scrapping. These are 3 huge games, and the question that I'm going to ask you both, and I'm going to start with you, Clive, is: will these 3 games, regardless of results, 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats, whatever, will these 3 games define Mansfield Town's season in your heart of hearts?
No, the last game of the season is the only one that will define the outcome. But I think it's important we get something from these games. I'd be very surprised if we came away with 9 points from the next 3 games. So that really means I don't expect us to do well on Tuesday at Forest Green. So if we get anything from Forest Green, I'd be absolutely delighted.
Alan, what about you? Do these 3 games have a significance? Will they define the way Mansfield will be? Because if they can get 7 points from them, it puts them in really good stead for the automatics. If they get maybe 3 points from them with 3 draws or whatever, then it could just be playoffs that we're looking into. Is it going to define how we finish, how we set up to finish?
I don't think so. No, I would hopefully settle for 7 points. If we can get another 7 points out of the next 3 games, because you have to remember, I think it's out of the last 4 games. I'm not 100% certain. You'll have to don't quote me on that, but I think we've got 3 at home out of the last 4.
Yeah, we have. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I think that's where we can build the momentum up until there. I mean, we've done reasonably well we've done favourably well at home, haven't we? And I can only see that continuing, to be fair, because we've had all the away. We've still done well with the points. We're still hanging in there. And after Saturday, who knows, like you said, we'll definitely be on the same points as if, with what Northampton have got now. But, we could be just above them goal difference. It could be.
If we win 8-0, we'll be above them on goal difference, wouldn't it?
Less than 5, isn't it? 5. Yeah, we're on +9. They're on +14. So what's that? 5, 6, 5.
Close to I thought.
5.
Irrespective of the other results, we'll be same as them, and we've got 2 games in hand, haven't we? And like I say, to have home advantage, 3 out of the last 4, I think that will be where it defines Mansfield Town's season. Personally,
it's also fair to say that Danny from their podcast wasn't absolutely confident. He was saying the fans are a bit jittery. So he thinks that the club hasn't played that well. It's a surprise to them that they managed to get into second spot.
Well, that's it. They haven't been fully solid, now, have they? They haven't been solid, and neither has Forest Green, to be fair, just lately. They haven't been solid.
They got cash in the bank, though, hadn't they, because of the start they made. So you can afford to wobble a bit when you've got a fairly big gap there. And Tranmere is a dangerous side. We know that. There's 10 or 11 teams that can do well this year. We've proved we can beat good teams. We beat Exeter at home last time out. So, I don't see Northampton as a more severe challenge than Exeter was.
Kieran in the comments says that hi chaps, watching in from Brighton, played on Field Mill a few times. Come on, you Stags, really wanting promotion this year. Glad to have you with us, Kieran. Right, let's go back to something what Alan just said there, Clive, and I want to get your take on it because he's absolutely spot on. Final 4 games of the season, 3 of which are at home, courtesy of Mr. Evans going, all right, see, you've got COVID, and sort of getting that game postponed. How important is that home advantage going to be? Because our fans have been truly phenomenal at home, especially this year.
Incredibly. The trouble is my built-in anxiety says every bubble bursts at some point. And, sooner or later, we're not going to get a win at home. And I just hope we can survive most of this season, or in fact, all of this remaining home games now, preserving intact our wonderful home record. But we don't have to. I mean, we're not in Panicsville here. We can drop points and still get into the autos. So I don't think there's any need to get over anxious about it. If we play as well as we can, and we just make one fewer mistake than we've been making, we're gonna do it. But we need. And to go back on Clough's point, the only game to look at is Northampton at the moment.
It is true, though, isn't it, that if anybody is going to stop Mansfield Town getting promoted, Clive, it is going to be Mansfield Town, right?
Absolutely.
Right, that's almost... Go on, sorry.
No, I was going to say, we've done it many times before.
Absolutely. That's almost all we've got time for tonight. Thanks, as always, for your guys' company. We'll see you back at One Call Stadium on Saturday afternoon. A reminder, if you want to come to Stag Stories Live on Friday, the 22nd of April, enter the code podcast for a special discount at the till to get your ticket. You've got until 3 p.m. on Saturday to use that code. Enter the code podcast. That's PODCAST, all in capitals letters, to get yourself a discount for Stags Stories Live on Friday, the 22nd of April at One Call Stadium. Stuart Watkis, the former promotion-winning manager, his assistant Neil Richardson, and Andy White, the former striker, and my co-host for said series as well, will be there. So get yourself in the link in the description and enter the code podcast at checkout for a discount to come and watch Stags Stories Live. On Saturday, it's Northampton at home, back at home for the first time in ages, but on Tuesday night, it was the final of 5 away games. Over 1,000 miles travelled for the Stags, and it ended in a 2-2 draw. This is the tale of the tape as told by myself and Lee Wilson on Mansfield 103.2.
Regardless of your thoughts of permutations, forget all thoughts of what ifs, what could be. The only thing that matters for Mansfield Town is tonight's trip to Hartlepool United. Good evening and welcome to the Sweet Direct Stadium, where the Stags, being led out onto the pitch now by James Perch, make 4 changes to the side, which beat Oldham Athletic by 2-1 on Saturday afternoon, courtesy of a dramatic late winner from the boot or chest of George Lapsley. He is one of 4 changes tonight, as I say. Matty Longstaff, Kieran Wallace, Stephen McLaughlin and Reece Oates go out. In comes George Lapsley, Lucas Akins, Jordan Bowery and Ryan Stirk. Quinn driving forward now, 30 from goal, finds Ryan Stirk, bang central, looks to find Murphy on the edge of the area, opens up his body, low ball in towards Akins. Akins looking to get it back to him. Akins still has it now. Bowery flicks it in for Lapsley. It's a goal! Mansfield has scored! Excellent build up from Mansfield Town. Flicked into the path of George Lapsley, and on 20 minutes the man who scored in the dying embers at Oldham puts Mansfield Town a goal to the good here at Hartlepool. 20 minutes gone, Hartlepool 0, Mansfield Town 1. Lapsley now the goal scorer, gets it to Hewitt on this right hand side. Good interchanging play here. Is Hewitt to the right of the area. Hewitt still going forward, three players. It falls for Barry to the right of the box, has to keep the ball in play and does. He's got Lapsley if he can find him on the touchline and does. First time cross from Lapsley in towards the back post where Perch will head towards him, and it's in from James Perch. It's James Perch, the Mansfield captain, who makes it Hartlepool United 0, Mansfield Town 2 on 24 minutes. James Perch, he is one of our own. Mansfield just stand off and allow Hartlepool to come into the centre circle. Long ball over the top, trying to get in behind the Stags on that far side, and they are in here to the right of the box. It's a low ball through the middle, and Hartlepool have turned it in towards the back of the net. Nathan
Bishop made a good save initially from the first shot, but the loose ball fell straight for a Hartlepool man. And with 5 minutes towards the break, Mansfield has switched off, and Hartlepool have a lifeline. Hartlepool 1, Mansfield 2. Hawkins wins the ball away again. Gives it away, and Hartlepool come forward here to the edge of the box. They've got an opportunity for a shot. They've hit one, and it's gone in. Hartlepool have levelled from nowhere. 2 minutes ago, Mansfield were 2 goals up, and now with 3 minutes to go before the break, it's Hartlepool 2, Mansfield Town 2. McKell looks at the watch, blows the whistle, and brings an end to this game. It finishes Hartlepool United 2, Mansfield Town 2, and Mansfield Town have thrown away what looked, after 40 minutes, as a surefire 3 points.
So there you have it then. That's the tale of the tape from Tuesday night, a 2-2 draw at Hartlepool United. And sometimes you do have to laugh and think that if any team in Sky Bet League 2 is going to stop Mansfield Town from achieving promotion this season, then it's going to be Mansfield Town. Seriously, I still can't quite put my finger on what went wrong on Tuesday and why we allowed ourselves to concede those 2 goals in 3 minutes at the end of that first half. All of that, though, needs to be forgotten, and focus needs to move on to Saturday afternoon as we welcome Northampton Town to One Call Stadium. If you can't make it, make sure you're tuned into Mansfield 103.2. Extensive coverage throughout the afternoon. It starts at 1 with Jason Harrison, and alongside me, back at home, back at One Call Stadium, as always, will be Lee Wilson. Thanks as always for all your comments, your questions, your likes and your shares. All I want from you guys is one more favour. Get yourselves in the link in the description and get yourself a ticket for that all-important Stag Stories Live in 4 weeks and 1 day's time. Friday the 22nd of April, Stuart Watkiss, Neil Richardson, Andy White and more guests to be announced will be back at One Call Stadium for a very special Stag Stories Live episode, and we want you there. Tickets are just a £5. If you're an SSA member, it's absolutely free. And of course, if you enter the code podcast before 3 PM on Saturday, you'll get a very special discount as well. Link is in the description. Do come and support us. We hope to see you there. For now, though, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you on Sunday for the Sunday sermon as we reflect on all things Northampton and look ahead to Forest Green. Jesus, this season gets busier and busier and busier. The end is in sight, but it still feels like a long, long way away.